Hi guys, it's Bryn Jones here from House of Ruhr. Speaking to you from a very noisy The Stack in Newcastle. Just taken on a little shop at Unit 20, so just opposite the Tyneside Cinema, near the junction with Blackett Street, Pilgrim Street and Northumberland Street. Sharing the space with Scott Wilson-Lang from WL Distillery. So it's very exciting for us both. Both of us have award-winning handcrafted gins, all silver medal winners at the London Spirits Competition earlier in the year. I also won a fantastic accolade, being the best German gin overall for one of our expressions, which is our Renton gin. So our gins are themed around the shared mining heritage of the Ruhr Valley and my native northeast. So we have Bergman, which is German for miner. There you go, infused with Fizzler's fruit, goji berries, and yerba. That gives quite a sweet gin. Our gins are triple distilled, so you don't get the harshness of a shop-bought gin. I have Renton. I'll come back onto that. That's infused with 12 botanicals, including mace, cubeb peppers, coriander, angelica root, allspice, and lots of other things. We've got our Vogel, which is lemon balm, lemon peel, and allspice. That you'll see a canary on. It's called Vogel, which is German for bird. You have the canary on there, which is the hero of many a miner, saved many lives over the years. So that's the three expressions of our gins. That's not what I want to talk to you about. Say the exciting news that I want to share was the fact that we're in shared space at Unit 20, The Stack, again opposite Tyneside Cinema. So do please come along and speak to us. There's myself, Bryn, and Scott Wilson-Lang, who will be running the shop. We may be getting some extra staff in later on the year as the business picks up. So anyway, a little bit about me. I'm Bryn the Gin Man. And my previous background was 30 years in the police service. During which time I met the owner of the distillery out in the Ruhr Valley. Peter is a policeman out in Germany. He looks after anti-terrorism in Dusseldorf, so has a full-time job. The distillery was run by the great-great-grandson of the original founder, which is Thomas Kahn, C-A-L-L-E-N, and it's called the Eicher & Kahn Distillery. It's been going for a lot of years, and it even goes back on Wikipedia back to the 1700s. So it's not a new thing. They've been distilling fine spirits, liqueurs for a lot of years. Peter's family, his grandparents, Ludwig and Anne-Marie Meinken. They weren't distillers at all. They owned a chemist shop, or a druggery, as they're called over in Germany, from the first part of the last century. So up until the beginning of the war, Ludwig was a full-time chemist, and he, along with lots of other males in Germany at the outbreak of the Second World War, were conscripted into the various armies. Ludwig protested, well, what am I going to do? I'm just a mere chemist. So he and all the other chemists from the area were shipped out to the Russian front line, where they looked after all the wounded from both sides. During which time, Ludwig made friends with quite a few of the guys. There was 35 chemists who worked in the same unit, and he made a pact with them, said, look, when this is all over, come to my juggery in a place called Herne in Germany. Sadly, only 9 of them were able to return to have that drink with Ludwig. Moving on past the war, the distillery, which is this building here. Thomas Kahn, the great-great-grandson, still lives in this little apartment here, where my finger's trying to point. Distillery hasn't changed a great deal since that photograph was taken. They've lost the lorry, and somebody's drank all the beer, and there's a little bit of greenery growing up here, but it remains almost intact to this time. Every year we have a party with the distiller and the local people, where we go and just share stories from the past and you know, family members and things like that. It's an excellent venture. We have a live band there. There's a currywurst guy, and it's just a great experience. And there's about 7 of us go across there from the northeast, and we'll meet the locals. You know, that we are regulars there now. So why am I selling gin? Well, Peter's a great fan of Newcastle. He's a member of the Newcastle Supporters Club, and he classes Newcastle as his second home. And he said to me on numerous occasions he would love to be able to walk into a bar and buy a drink that his family had made. He says that would make him very, very proud. And he started saying that when I was still a serving policeman, so I suggested that he find an importer, and he found that it was too difficult. He couldn't do that as well as being a policeman, and he only had part-time role within the distillery itself, because his grandmother and grandfather were looking after it along with Thomas. Move on a few years, I'd retired from the police service. Peter was taking a bigger role in the distillery, and trying to make connections further afield than the 3 or 4 towns that surround the distillery. And we were at the annual party, and I was there with my son-in-law Richard, and it was mentioned again about getting the drinks into a bar in the northeast. So I went across there a few more times with Richard, and we wanted to commemorate the shared mining heritage of the northeast and the Ruhr Valley, because both areas are only left with mining museums. We've got a few mining museums in the north of England, and the main one in Germany is in a place called Bochum, which is a town not too far away from the distillery. A lot of my family, certainly on my dad's side, were miners. My great-great-grandfather, who was Thomas or Tom Jones, was a miner, along with his siblings, male siblings. And they travelled from Wales to Staffordshire to Cumbria, eventually finishing in Seaham Harbour in County Durham. Obviously, all their male offspring also became miners, so that they work in the Seaham mines as well as Merton as well. And we wanted to commemorate him, but we couldn't really call the gin Tom Jones gin, which is, I was telling you, I was going to come back to the Renton. So the picture on the bottle that we have is of Thomas or Tom Jones. But again, we couldn't call it Tom Jones gin, so I named after me maternal great-great-grandfather, who's Captain James Ogilvie Renton. He was a guy from Sunderland, and he was a ship owner, and he used to carry coal from the local coal fields all the way around the world. His final trip was from the port of Tyne on the 8th of March 1871, and he was heading to Trondheim with about 240 tons of local coal. So to me, yes, although he wasn't a miner, he was very much involved in the mining community. And it's nice to be able to think that great-grandfather Thomas Jones was mining coal. It would be sent to Ulla Port, and great-great-grandfather Renton would carry that coal, probably that mutual connection, without them even ever meeting or even knowing about each other. So for me, calling the gin Renton and putting me Tom Jones's face on, fantastic memories for me. And also celebrating the mining community as a whole. So our flavours, we have in our bourbon fistless fruit, yerba leaf, and goji berries. Fistless fruit is it's called a Cape gooseberry or Chinese gooseberry. You often see it on top of a cheesecake. Little berry looks like a tomato with some leaves on. Very pretty, sits on thing. Bit of a sort of strange taste to it. Although it's a fruit, it can have quite a bitter taste or a little bit of bitterness to it. Yerba leaf is a leaf which is dried out, made into like a tea, a very sweet tea with energy boosting qualities. And we've also got the goji berry, which is a very small red berry, which is deemed a superfood. So you could say that our bourbon is a health drink, tongue in cheek, of course. So the flavour throughout is just a delicate sweetness all the way through. All of our gins are triple distilled, so you haven't got the harshness of a shop bought gin. So you'll not be going, if you drank it neat. I actually drink mine neat over a block of ice. It's that smooth. I do like whiskey, but I also enjoy my gin over a block of ice. Our Vogel is named after a bird. So Vogel is German for bird. You'll notice we have a canary bird on the bottle there. The canary was the hero of many a mining family because they were there. They were very susceptible to toxic gases. Although it wouldn't necessarily kill them, they would fall off the perch, which would give a warning to the humans who had a much greater tolerance of those toxic gases. So they would all run out of the mine as best as they could, get to some fresh air, because there were a lot of toxic gases during the workings of the mine. And again, our Renton he's the strongest, because the other two are 41% proof. Our Renton is 44.7. He had to be big and strong because he's my great-great-grandfather. He's got cubeb pepper, mace, coriander, allspice, lavender flower, rose water, lime, lemon, and orange peel, as well as some balm and some of the other botanicals. So that gives you a nice hearty and more traditional gin. All of the botanicals are sourced from the local German nature reserve. I will say that the Ruhr Valley was a very industrial part of the world, certainly during the beginning of the 20th century. So as part of the redevelopment, trying to recreate new open plan sort of areas where it's dedicated to local produce. There's not the need to go sort of thousands of miles away and ship it all in. So it's all created naturally and organically. The water for the distillery is sourced from an underground mineral well underneath the distillery itself. So everything is done to try and minimize the impact on the environment. Getting back to the distillery itself, they have one very small shop within it, and the distillery has no machines. It has a small five hand pull filling machine. That's not a machine, it's a filling device. One 5 little spouts. You put the first bottle under, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you finish the first, second, third, fourth. You get the gist, I think. All of the labels are put on the bottles by hand. That's for every drink that they create. They create more than my gins. They're now creating their own gins. They also have some fantastic sort of drinks from the old times, which, to be honest, they're not really my flavour. There's a lot of bronchial type balsams that you would have. We also have a forerunner to the Jägermeister. Again, I'm not a big fan of Jägermeister, but lots of people are. But they're also making rums now. So we are bringing a slow rum. It's a fruit liqueur with slow berries and rum, and that's at 25%. That's going to be coming in a skull bottle. We're going to have various designs of the skull bottle, of course, but that's going to sit at 25%. We've also got a 37.5% rum, which is more of a Caribbean rum, as well as 2 of the rums at 40%, which should be coming with our next dispatch, our next consignment. Once I can get the price down from £2,000 instead of the 150 that I used to pay before Brexit. So yeah, Brexit was a thing. It still is a thing. It's creating problems for me as well as lots of other companies as well. Very difficult to get me drinks across, but they will be here within 2 weeks at our shop at Unit 20, the Stack. So that's Bryn the Gin Man. Any questions, please drop me a line at info@House of Ruhr. So it's House of Ruhr, spelled that way. You don't need the "the" on the front. Drop me a line or have a look at our website, and more information will be on there. Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye.